Hello, my name is Muhammad Luqman Nur Hakim bin Zainal Abidin, and today I will be presenting about art history, starting from the Renaissance period, followed by Islamic art, Asian art, and finally the major movements in 19th century art. The Renaissance means rebirth. It was a period when Europe rediscovered the ideas and beauty of ancient Greece and Rome. What is the Renaissance? The Renaissance, from the French word rebirth, was a period of great cultural, artistic, and intellectual growth in Europe, roughly from the 14th to the 17th century. It began in Italy, especially in cities like Florence, Rome, and Venice, before spreading across Europe. Meaning, the term Renaissance translates to rebirth, symbolizing the revival of classical art and ideas from ancient Greece and Rome. Main concept, the term Renaissance translates to rebirth, symbolizing the revival of classical art and ideas from ancient Greece and Rome. Purpose, artists aimed to explore human emotion, anatomy, and the surrounding environment in a realistic and scientific way, reflecting both physical and spiritual depth. Themes, common subjects included religion, history, mythology, and portraiture, all portrayed with renewed realism and perspective. Artistic fields, the movement greatly influenced painting, sculpture, and architecture, blending artistic creativity with mathematical precision. Time periods, generally divided into the early Renaissance, 1300 hingga 1400, the High or Glorious Renaissance, 1400 hingga 1480, and the Late Renaissance or Mannerism, 1480 hingga 1600. Islamic art. What is Islamic art? Islamic art refers to all forms of visual art created in the Islamic world from Spain and North Africa to the Middle East and Asia, beginning around the 7th century and continuing to today. Meaning, Islamic art refers to the artistic expression developed in regions influenced by Islam, reflecting the faith's spiritual, cultural, and intellectual values. Main concept, it focuses on the unity of God, Tawhid, and expresses beauty through order, balance, and harmony, avoiding the depiction of living beings in religious contexts. Purpose, created to honor and reflect divine principles, Islamic art uses geometry, calligraphy, and arabesque patterns to symbolize infinity, perfection, and the eternal nature of Allah. Themes, common subjects include the sacred texts, nature-inspired patterns, architectural decoration, and objects of daily life designed with aesthetic and spiritual meaning. Artistic fields, common subjects include the sacred texts, nature-inspired patterns, architectural decoration, and objects of daily life designed with aesthetic and spiritual meaning. Time periods, developed through several great Islamic empires: early Islamic, 7th 10th century, medieval, 11th 15th century, and later periods, 16th century onward, including Ottoman, Safavid, and Mughal art. Asian art. What is Asian art? Asian art refers to all the visual art forms created throughout the continent of Asia, which includes East Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Central Asia. It covers thousands of years of history and reflects the cultures, religions, and philosophies of these regions.
Chinese art. Meaning, Chinese art refers to the visual art created throughout China's long history, from ancient dynasties to modern times. It reflects Chinese philosophy, religion, and culture, focusing on harmony, balance, and the beauty of nature. Core idea: Chinese art expresses the connection between humans, nature, and the universe. It is strongly influenced by Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, emphasizing spiritual depth rather than just realistic appearance. Artists aim to show the inner spirit or life energy, called qi, of the subject. Japanese art. Japanese art refers to the traditional and modern visual arts of Japan, developed over thousands of years. It reflects the country's nature, religion, simplicity, and harmony, showing deep respect for beauty in everyday life. Meaning, core idea: Japanese art focuses on balance, nature, and impermanence, inspired by Shinto, belief in spirits of nature, and Buddhism, ideas of peace and simplicity. Rather than showing power or realism, Japanese artists often express emotion, mood, and atmosphere through subtle details. Indian art. Indian art refers to the diverse artistic traditions that developed across India from ancient times to the present day. It reflects religion, philosophy, and daily life, showing deep spirituality and cultural richness. Meaning, core idea. Indian art is strongly influenced by Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, expressing the belief that art is a path to the divine and spiritual truth. It focuses on beauty, symbolism, and storytelling, representing gods, humans, and nature in harmony. Every form of art, sculpture, painting, dance, or architecture carries spiritual meaning. 19th century. What is 19th century art? 19th century art refers to the artistic movements and styles that developed roughly between 1800 and 1900, a century marked by rapid social, political, and technological changes. Art during this period reflected these transformations, and multiple movements often overlapped, each reacting to or breaking away from the previous styles. Neoclassicism. Meaning, classicism in 19th century art means an artistic style that was inspired by the ideals and beauty of ancient Greece and Rome. It focused on order, harmony, reason, and ideal form, showing how art should be calm, balanced, and moral rather than emotional or chaotic. Core idea. The core idea of classicism or neoclassicism is that art should reflect reason, discipline, and universal beauty. It teaches moral values such as courage, honor, and duty, showing that art can guide people toward virtue and rational thought. Romanticism. Meaning, Romanticism was an art movement in the 19th century that focused on emotion, imagination, and individual expression, the opposite of the calm reason and order of classicism. It celebrated feelings over logic, nature over civilization, and freedom over rules. Core idea. The core idea of Romanticism is that art should express human emotion and imagination, showing the beauty, power, and mystery of life. It values personal experience, spirituality, and the power of nature to inspire awe or fear. Realism. Meaning, Realism was an art movement that began in France around the mid-19th century, around 1840s-1880s. It focused on showing real life as it truly is, without exaggeration, idealization, or romantic emotion. Realist artists painted ordinary people, everyday scenes, and social issues, especially the lives of the poor and working class. Core idea. The core idea of realism is that art should reflect reality and truth, not fantasy, myths, or heroic stories. Artists believe that ordinary life is worthy of art, and that art should be honest, objective, and socially aware. Impressionism. Meaning, Impressionism was an art movement that began in France around the 1870s. It focused on capturing the immediate impression of a moment, especially the effects of light, color, and atmosphere. Instead of painting detailed or realistic scenes, Impressionist artists tried to show how something looked and felt at a specific instant. Core idea. The core idea of Impressionism is to capture the fleeting moment, the changing effects of light, time, and movement. Artists painted what they saw and felt, often outdoors, en plein air, using quick brushstrokes and bright colors. Art Nouveau. Meaning, Art Nouveau, French for new art, was an art and design movement that appeared in Europe around 1890 to 1910. It aimed to create a modern style that broke away from old historical art traditions. Art Nouveau combined art, nature, and design, making beauty part of everyday life, in architecture, furniture, posters, jewelry, etc. Core idea. The core idea of Art Nouveau is to unite art and life by bringing natural forms and flowing lines into all areas of design. It celebrates beauty, elegance, and craftsmanship, often inspired by plants, flowers, and the female form. Conclusion. The 19th century was a period of major artistic change. Artists moved from the order and reason of classicism to the emotion of romanticism, the truth of realism, the light and color of impressionism, and the decorative beauty of Art Nouveau. These movements show the shift from tradition to modern creativity, leading to the birth of modern art in the 20th century. Thank you for watching.